Anyways, okay.
Awesome.
It's been a
Okay.
day. You guys are just waking up. It's been a day.
You're like, I need to go to bed, and we're like, we need to get up.
I don't need to go to bed because I'm like, it's 7 p.m. here, 7:11.
Yeah.
And we, like, every day there's something on top of something, on top of something, on top of something at the moment. Because, it's the States and everything's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of like, I can't sleep. I'm having my brain is just buzzing all that. I'm meditating. Do not get me wrong. I'm doing all I can to get as much sleep as possible, but no French fries. No French fries. Yeah.
It's hard, all right. Trojan, just press record because I've already done it.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Sweet.
Hold on. Let me just. But yeah, I get you because I'm struggling to sleep as well. One, I'm a musician, so I'm already out of whack. And then I just stopped the gigs all of a sudden.
Right.
But the sleep schedule's still the same.
Well, that's good because, like, here being like, I moved to DC back in 2015, and I was working as a street performer for like most of my life, like here, and I'd be up at 4:30 in the morning, sing for people from 6:30 to 10, go home, sleep, gig, and then get up and repeat type thing. And now I'm just like, nope, I'm awake at 7:30. Look at your face, Trojan.
He's still getting up.
Amazing. Yeah, but then like now I'm just like, I'm awake at 7:30 and I'm awake until 3 a.m. at the moment because I'm like, I've got my little home studio now that I'm working out of, and I'm doing these online concerts and writing, and oh my gosh. And then like the news is just, terrifying. So I'm just awake.
My goodness.
Like this isn't it. I'm like, go to sleep, Emma.
Go to sleep.
I can't.
We don't even need to watch horror movies. We just need to watch real life. It's just as scary right now.
For real.
Oh my gosh! So what's the feeling like in America? Because in New Zealand it's obviously different, but we're hearing your president telling people to inject people with bleach and you live in DC, eh? So
you're like right there.
like, who better to ask?
Yeah. So it's nice. Like, so I had a lot of misconceptions about DC before I moved here. It is commonly and like with love referred to as Chocolate City because we've got a very high Black American population here.
Oh, wow.
And believe it or not, the culture is very similar in terms of whānau to New Zealand. So like everywhere I go, it's like I'm somebody's sister. Like,
wow.
But it's real cool. It's real cool. So like when I found DC, it was purely by accident. I was on my way to Indiana. Long story, but I will have you know there is a burger fuel in Indiana, so you can't judge me too much. That's the only one in the country is in Indiana. I've been there 3 times.
Yeah. But when you miss home.
Oh my gosh, it's the middle of nowhere, but I love it. Anyway, so yeah, but like, so DC is like it's not a state, as you know, and it's a very democratic city. So when the 2016 election happened, I could at 4:30 in the morning, you could cut the tension with a knife.
Wow.
Like you could legit cut it with a straw. That's how thick it was. Like it was insane. And now being, that it's another election year, like, yeah, I'm tuned in a little bit. But honestly, I kind of have been a bit of an ostrich over the last year or so because everything's it's just too much. It's too much. Like he's legit telling people to drink bleach. What the truck? Like,
oh my goodness.
The actual truck. Like, and I posted about it and somebody was like, well, maybe he wants us all to just turn white because bleach whitens you. I'm just like,
Wow.
like that's the kind of state we're living in here. But you know, but it's also really an interesting place because each state is so different. It's like, you know, comparing. I guess it's like living in Europe almost. You know, Spain runs very differently to France. France runs very differently to Portugal. You know, so on and so forth. So each state is just so different here. Florida are living backwards.
The heck, eh?
They just are. You know, North Carolina, a little. I mean, I love North Carolina, but their governor is just a little bit like, really. But you know, then there's California, and Cuomo from New York is doing some epic. Like, they've shown up and they've led by example. But you know, so each state also almost has it, like they do. They have their own kind of way of running things, and then Trump comes in and says like, well, actually, you need my permission to do everything. No, they don't. No, they don't. Like, I'm not even from here, and I know that in the Constitution.
I don't even live there, and I know that.
Right. So it's been a really, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a thing.
Like, I'm really lucky that you know, being I think having my career, like being a musician in DC is not the easiest job. Being a musician at full stop is not the easiest job. I'm going to credit my Aotearoa roots to like leading with love all the time. Like, that's legit what I do. I am in the Washingtonian magazine as the hug dealer of DC. I credit that 1,000% to being from Aotearoa. Like, there is just Americans like, you're weird and that's okay. I'm like, hug it out, bro. It's all good. But we can't hug right now, and you know. But anyways, like what I mean to say is, I credit a lot of that to the fact that I've got this beautiful audience here in America that have been really supportive. I've just recently started my Patreon account, and people are showing up to support, and I'm doing these online shows, and people are showing up to support some random dude whom I've never met, like just randomly tuned in the other day. I mean, I'm sure he's seen me live or whatever, but he tuned in. Sorry, my nose is itchy. Okay. He randomly tuned in, and then like next minute there's like $100 in my PayPal.
Nice.
And I'm like, that's the kind of like, there's a lot of love in America beneath all the bullshit. But you just got to dig really deep under the and sometimes it feels like I'm digging with a freaking knife.
Yeah, I
It's not even a spoon, it's a knife.
Sometimes I see things on the news and I'm like, that can't be real. Surely, like the absurdities that are coming from the States on it.
Yeah, man. So I mean, like, obviously, and I don't know what it's like, you know, being back in New Zealand and seeing what the news is like there, but there's definitely, you know, the last time I was back in New Zealand, I was on tour, and I would turn on the news and the radio and stuff. And first of all, I just want to point out, land of the free, there is so much censorship on radio here in the States that it almost kind of was like, they're saying that on ZM? Really? Like, what's going on? I'm like, oh crap, Emma, you're being so, like, I've gotten so used to being so sensitive because American ears are so sensitive. Like, no one, like, legit, I was dating a guy for a minute who was like, you can't even say the F word on Facebook because it's considered written, you know, published content. And like,
you can say whatever you want on here.
You should wait till you see the guest before you.
He went off. And then I had to go, should we censor it? And you're like, nah.
That's the thing, like, so it's this weird, like, I've got this really bizarre sort of balancing act that I'm having to do between the countries. Anyways, back to your initial thing of the news. I think there's, I think a lot of the accurate news is coming through to New Zealand. Yes, things here are ridiculous, but I need you to understand that the things that are happening in Georgia are not a reflection of the rest of the country.
That makes
right?
sense.
The things that are happening in Florida are not the things that are happening to the rest of the country. Each state is led by either a Republican or a Democratic House representative, and then that particular person, will do something, and the rest of the leaders of the state governors or whatever will look at them and be like, "What the fuck are you doing, bro?" But then some of them are. It's weird, and living in DC, which isn't an actual state, we're sandwiched between Maryland, which is Maryland, but in America we say Maryland, and Virginia, and Virginia is very Republican. Maryland is very Democratic, and they're both running things very differently with regards to lifting their sort of whatever what's the word, like stay-at-home ordinances and things. So but everything, because we're in the middle, everything that Virginia and Maryland both do affects the city so dramatically. So so I'm literally like, thankfully I live in a nice home. Thankfully I love my housemate to bits. She's a cool chick. We get along, we're Gucci. But and we just got a cat, which is like totally helping my mental health. But and we're like, I'm working out and doing all that sort of stuff. But man, like this is week 7 for me.
Oh, how hard is your guys' lockdown? Is it like?
Like you can't see any, but you have a bubble, and you have to stay 6 feet, which is basically 2 meters, away from somebody when you're walking past them on the road or whatever. But you're not allowed to, there's no restaurants are open except to go. It would be the equivalent of level 4 for you guys,
right? And so you're in week 7.
Yep.
And is there any end in sight?
I think the the governor of Maryland was saying he's hoping for May 15th, but their numbers of deaths at the moment are still not, lessening. So, and then Virginia, who knows? Like, it's such a big state, and keep in mind that Virginia is a redneck state. Like there's some really great parts of Virginia, and there's like some super awkward, like I can't be here because I'm brown until I open my mouth and you realize that I'm one of the good brown people, which is such a fucked up thing, because I sound educated. Like it's so weird. It's so weird. Because I sound posh in New Zealand, apparently that means that I've got more kudos than, a Black American person or a Spanish person or an Ethiopian.
All of this is blowing my mind, to be honest.
We can talk all night, my friend.
I was like, I had all these questions, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say.
5 years of honestly, I did a show. I one of my first shows in Virginia, I had a bunch of bogans walk in, and I was like, sweet, I'll just play some whatever, metal or rocks, Nirvana type stuff, because that's what I grew up on anyways. I'm from Hamilton, so
that's the stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did, I played a couple of songs, and I did some originals and whatever, and as they were leaving, they're like, love the music, hate your message. And I was like, cool.
At least they're honest.
I mean, for sure.
Because that's the problem in New Zealand is people will say nice things. It's the complete opposite. They'll be like, oh, you were awesome. And then they'll go, oh, I'm never going to their show again.
Yeah. And it was funny because I was part of, there was a Kremlin Annex rally that was happening here for months on end when Trump first got into the White House. And I was a guest performer at rally several times, and some pro-Trump people, like legit, they were wearing, Trump 2020 shirts and Make America Great Again hats and da-da-da-da. And I'm standing there with my guitar singing "You Gotta Be" by Desiree. Love will save the day, and then I sang my own original song "Superhero," which is literally about overcoming racism and bigotry with kindness and compassion and love. They looked at us, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna shine as bright as I can, and let my love vibes kind of wash away the hatred and weirdness of these people. Saw them legit 2 hours later at a restaurant because I went out for dinner, and they were like, "Oh, we loved your voice. You've got such great music." I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?"
That's the power of music, though.
It's the weirdest thing, though. I just this country's weird. Anyways, we're all dying, so that's fun.
We're all dying. Oh goodness! Here's New Zealand complaining about 5 weeks in lockdown. We've just finished. And we're like, oh, we're safe now. That's good. Just keep the borders closed. And here you are in week 7, 8?
Week 7, yeah. But yeah, and again, it's a case of it's a numbers thing. And I'm really thrilled that today I was reading the news that 1 million people have recovered.
Nice.
So compared to, I think it's more than 4 times the amount of people who have died have recovered. Not to say that those who've lost their lives.
Yeah.
That's no laughing matter. Obviously, it's horrific, and my hearts go out to them and their whānau. But I think there's a lot of conversations happening with a lot of my friends who work in policy or economics or whatever. And I think the biggest thing that we're going to see from this is because some people are viewing this as Mother Earth is literally just staking her claim back. And if we want to succeed and thrive from this, we need to take a good hard look at how our societies have been functioning up until this point, with overworking their staff, with not prioritizing mental, spiritual, and emotional health, with looking after our physical health with regards to the food we're consuming. There's so many things we can learn from this if we woke the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah, the narrative is that we're the virus, actually.
I mean, right. So it's the 200,000 people. Again, I'm not saying that it's,
Yeah, it's bad, but yeah.
But for real, Mother Earth is taking her claim, y'all. He's this is going to stop. You got to stop driving so many cars,
I mean, I'm seeing pictures of New York and LA with no smog and just insane. Even in New Zealand, I mean, New Zealand's relatively clean, but when all the cars stopped, you could smell the difference in the air. And it was like, wow, Is this what oxygen smells like?
For real. For real.
I was like, oh, wow, what are we doing to ourselves with all this crap? So I hope...
I hope that we... exactly. I hope that we move forward from this with a clearer understanding of hey, we're visitors. We're here to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Let's leave a good place for a good place for a mokopuna, and just kind of be kind to each other.
Stop messing up your house, so to speak.
For real.
The house is our planet. Because a lot of people have been. Takeaways opened again in New Zealand.
Yo, I saw the picture of Takapuna's burger fuel. What the hell?
Rubbish everywhere. People lining. Yeah. No more social distancing. We still have to be 2 meters apart. But nobody cares.
And just because TJ's from Rotorua, we achieved a great thing, which is we ate the Maccas out of stock.
There are 3 McDonald's. You know how small Rotorua is. There's no tourists in Rotorua. It's just the locals. They ate all 3 of them out.
That's hilarious.
So there's no more food at McDonald's. They're closed today. And now all the smaller local like burger bars are jumping in and just going, well, there's no McDonald's, but we still got burgers, guys.
So New Zealand might not have a problem buying toilet paper or corrupt politicians, but man.
Get your Big Mac on, bro. You're out of luck.
But what I wanted to say was there's rubbish everywhere. And then online, you have people saying, that's bad. We're just wrecking the earth. But there's a lot of people saying, oh, no, that's why we hire council people to clean it up. So that's the attitude. And it's got my hopes down that we can change the environment. It really does.
Yeah, that upsets
You're
me.
like, oh, that's the nature of people. And this is in clean green New Zealand. So
yeah. I don't know. I'm like a complete I'm an asshole when it comes to people littering. I remember when I was living in Auckland, like there was this, I don't know, I drove past some dude, some like gangster wannabe, and he like just legit, littered.
yeah.
And I pulled over and I was like, excuse me, what are you doing? Pick your damn rubbish up. Like, yeah, I do that here too, just so you. We need to take care of her.
Yeah, I'm not perfect or anything, but some of it's like you wait 3 hours in line because the lines have been long, 2-3 hours, and you can't go 10 minutes to find another rubbish bin. It's frustrating. It's frustrating. But yeah, oh well.
So with that, this I want to know about this burger field in Indiana. Like, is that Kiwi owned? Like, how did you find it? Like, is this person the owner of that franchisee?
How did I find out about it? I think because back when I was living in Auckland, I was in a hard rock band, Static Era, and we went on tour one time, and Burger Fuel sponsored us. And then I was like visiting their website, and I saw that they had one American branch, and that was in Indiana.
That is so random.
Yeah.
Right. And like for real, like we have sweet potato in America, which is not as good as kumara, but whatever. Went to this burger field. They get everything shipped from New Zealand. Everything.
Wow.
So like the meat, I don't eat meat anymore, but everything, like the kumara, the ice cream, the whatever.
But they have vegan options too, and they're pretty good.
They do. I get the veggie burger.
Yeah.
I can't live without cheese. Come on.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's honestly the thing that people go, oh, if meat must be a struggle for most Kiwis, and I'm like, no, it's dairy. Dairy is the struggle. Like if people were to switch to vegan, it's like, yeah, we could go without meat. Do you know how expensive meat is back home? It's stupid.
Yeah,
It's
and
ridiculous.
the misconception is because when I went vegetarian, for that reason, is that I still want to eat dairy pretty much. And when I went vegetarian for a bit, people keep calling me a vegan. Well, some of my mates, I'm like, I'm not vegan.
New Zealand standards for vegan is everything that's vegan plus dairy.
Yeah.
See, I have the opposite problem here. Like I went to a friend's cookout recently for like his father's birthday or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm vegetarian. They're like, oh well, we one of the guys, like, this is a true story, I'm not shitting you, they went hunting, and we have bears in America. A bear found them hunting. They shot the bear because they didn't want to die, and then they're like, well, we're gonna eat the bear because otherwise you're wasting a full animal. So like, if you don't eat meat, like you can have some bear, right?
While you're at it, why don't you just inject bleach into your system?
But I get it a lot. Like, if you're vegetarian, cool, you can have chicken. Like,
Yeah, because chicken's not meat.
Yeah, everything that's meat, and then chicken and beer over here.
Chicken and beer is two different things.
Yeah. They're not in this category. Not in this category whatsoever. They're completely in their own.
Pork beef, that's it.
Yeah, it's in between the broccoli and the parsnip.
I will tell you though, living in DC, we have a lot of lamb here, and it's all shipped from New Zealand.
Wow, that's where our good lamb goes.
Yeah.
It's because we got too much.
We actually do.
Really?
Yeah. So for each Kiwi, there's like I think there's like 20 million sheep. So 5 million people, 20 million sheep.
It's something like that. It's like 10 sheep to one person.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit less now because our population's increased, but it was something like that a few years ago.
But no, the sheep population has also increased because my stepdad's a dry stock farmer.
Okay, so maybe we're still at 10 sheep per person. So, we got plenty of lamb.
Got plenty of kiwi fruit, plenty of food. There's a lot. Actually, so the borders have shut down and a lot of exports have either slowed down or just completely died. And a lot of the food still has to be worked. So they're giving it away to locals. And we just have excess of foods going off in New Zealand. Like,
really?
It's just too much food for one nation.
And that's why we haven't really needed to panic buy except for the takeaway option.
Yeah, that's why there's been no panic buying in New Zealand. So there's even in Kawerau, which is not, if you know where that is.
I know where Kawerau is.
Yeah. I was like, it's not a very big place. But the factory there makes most of the things that you need for toilet paper. So
yeah.
We haven't had to panic buy, except the one thing that we can't get in the supermarkets, which is McDonald's and KFC.
Oh my God.
But everything else has just got too much. And then it's got me thinking of why are we shipping all our stuff away? It's
I mean that's been a question that we've been asking for a long time. Obviously, like you want to have good status with the other countries and whatever, but
because it's wrecking the environment. If you think about how much oil it takes for all that sheep to get to wherever, and there's a lot of good food in each country. I'm sure in America that's sourced locally. You know what I mean? Like, why do you have to take the New Zealand lambs?
Have you been here?
Well, my brother's been. He said it was.
It depends on where you go. Like a lot of them, like Midwest of the states, they're grain farms. Everything's grain, corn, and so that's what they feed their animals.
Is it good? Because it isn't. Because I don't even know what grain-fed beef tastes like. I've never.
I will, even as a vegetarian, I will have meat maybe once or twice every 6 months. I cannot eat American meat.
Wow.
If I'm gonna eat anything, I will go out specifically and have some like New Zealand lamb or beef.
Try to find their burger fuel.
What? Well, how far is Indiana from?
Casual 9.5 hours.
I was going to ask that. How far is Indiana from DC?
Yeah, 9.5 hours. It's the middle of the country and up.
Wow. And DC's on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The DC's like, we've got a huge, again, similar to New Zealand, we're a huge seafood place. So
nice.
Maryland crabs are a thing here. So everybody eats like just fish, crabs, crawfish, not crayfish. Shrimp is a huge thing. Yeah, it's just like there's a lot of seafood gumbo, seafood, everything.
It's food I see on all these YouTube channels all the time, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could taste it. It looks good.
I mean, I'll send you some recipes, man. There's things that we get here that is a bit different than New Zealand. Like a huge southern thing is shrimp and grits. And grits is basically like a rough semolina.
Wow. Okay.
Like it's grittier.
Yeah.
People are like, yep, shrimp and grits.
And they just paired them together and we're like, yeah, that's nice. Is it nice?
And then you have chicken and waffles.
That's catching on in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Do you have it with hot sauce though? Because hot sauce is not.
No, not yet. Not yet.
So you need to get yourself some hot sauce and mix up the chicken with the hot sauce and the maple syrup and the waffles.
Okay, I got to try that.
It sounds gruesome, but it's actually pretty good.
Even the idea of chicken and waffles, in my mind, I'm like, how do those go together?
Yeah.
No, I love it, eh? I love it, all right. So,
that's cool.
I actually have a question for you because when Trojan showed me that you were coming on, I just had to ask. You said you lived in Hamilton.
I was originally from Raglan.
Yeah, but you lived in. Did you ever busk in Hamilton?
Bro, I'm a Frankton Markets girl from
Oh, I knew it. Flipping knew it. I was sitting there going, because I studied at Wintec.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
And I remember going to the Frankton Markets all the time and seeing you, and I was like, you're a good singer. So when I saw it, I was like, hold on. So how'd you end up in America from Frankton Markets? How did we get there? Was it like immediately after, or?
Nah, so I busked at Frankton Markets every Saturday from like the age of 10 up until 17. I'm gonna say 16.
Wow.
And it was cool. Like that's how I met Jamie Ferguson from Catch a Fire, and became tight with him. And he's a man. Like honestly, that man is like a brother to me. He's awesome. He's been like a huge supporter and mentor for me, which has been great. You know, the mongrel mob used to come down every weekend and make sure nobody messed with me, which is hilarious. I got some random things when I was like, I remember one time somebody just gave me randomly a suit to say thanks.
Here's a suit.
Right. It was a skirt suit. It was lovely.
Only in New Zealand.
I want to know what was going on in that person's mind. Like as they saw you and went, "This is what you need. Like you need this."
Good job.
It's not going to pay my rent, but you know.
I can look nice for the person from Bay Corp.
So after that, because I went through like a rough stage of teenagehood back in Hamilton, and then I got my shit together, back together, finished high school, and ended up starting my own business as a singing teacher, from my home on Radnor Street. And from there, I ended up running an adult education choir singing class through Melville High School, then went on to teaching a choir out in Cambridge, and then I became the advertising and sponsorship coordinator for Free FM, which is a community access station, and did that until I was like 21. I was like, okay, I need to grow. I've become stagnant. I'm bored. I'm drinking too much. I need to do something that's like more in alignment with what I'm doing. So moved to Auckland, started a hard rock band called Static Era. We released 2 EPs, an album, and 8 singles, I think. And I was teaching at Te Wānanga Aotearoa as well as the one of the music teachers there, which was cool. And then I did, it was like 2014, into 2014. That was when I always forget his name. The head of the National Party got into
John Key.
John Key.
John Key. Yes, John Key. See, I raised him from my brain.
We're still trying to. Very hard.
So John Key got elected, and I was like, here we go. And then I ended up as the ambassador for Tough Mudder when it came to New Zealand, and
Nice.
on top of that, I won the New Zealander of the Year award, Local Heroes Award, and then I was in X Factor. They tried to typecast me. I was like, nah, I'm good. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to go move to the States where my mum's from, because my mum's from Pennsylvania. I've got family here in Iowa, LA, and PA and New York. So I'll just go and see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, I got nothing to lose. I'll just buy a ticket and go. And that was 5 years ago.
Still there. Nice.
It's nuts though, man. Like I've done some really cool stuff. Half of the stuff that I didn't realize was cool until after the fact. Like I played the Kennedy Center a couple of times, and I don't know what the Kennedy Center was until like after the fact. And my friend messaged me like, "You do realize the Pink Floyd were inaugurated in the Kennedy Center, right?" Like
it's a big deal.
Yeah, like they got the Kennedy Center honors, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. What else? You know, like I did a show with Dave Chappelle. Didn't recognize him.
It's like my favorite comedian of all time.
And if Dave watches this, he's probably going to go, "That bitch."
He's not watching this. He's just gonna...
He knows, like, yeah. So that was really good.
That actually is probably nice for him for someone not to recognize him.
Maybe. I don't know. I felt like a bit of an asshole, but whatever. I've toured the country. I've released 2 albums and a couple of EPs now, and I'm meeting some really cool people. I've started my own sort of relatively obscure podcast called Real Talk during quarantine.
Nice.
And one of my bros is going to be on it, who happens to be one of the members of Public Enemy. So
you're doing some things.
I don't know I don't understand it. It's just a thing that I'm just like, okay, this is happening. Okay, cool. Now I can't make money. That's fine.
God, I feel you on that one.
I'm still doing these online shows, and I'm really blessed that people have been reaching out about doing corporate gigs and whatnot, and the media here have been really supportive. So we're just this is when your faith has to show up, and I'm really big on trusting the universe, knowing that when you're in alignment, things will work out. If you're not in alignment, you soon will be. This is the time for community to show up, and again, DC for me is like my little family. I go for runs around my neighborhood, and I'm yelling hello to the neighbors, and they're like, "Hey, singer lady," or "Hey, Emma," or my neighbors showed up the other day and just randomly gave me some eggs and $20, and he's like, "Hey, just you're loved."
My goodness, there's caring people everywhere, eh?
Right. So it's weird, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad that got answered, because I just thought I recognized you straight away. I was like, I don't know where.
Yeah, Frankton Markets, bro.
You probably knew too.
Oh, no.
Probably see me in the markets.
Yeah.
What about those kebabs, though? Oh, my goodness, on the stick.
I miss kebabs so much. You don't have them here.
Really?
Kebabs here are like meat on a stick.
Yeah, the skewers.
They don't have the other ones?
No.
Which is funny, because we call them both kebabs in New Zealand.
And don't even get me started on the language. You say kiwis here, and they're talking about kiwi fruit.
Fruit, yeah.
They don't know what beetroot is. They only know what beets are. Capsicum are peppers.
What?
Yeah.
See, one of the ones that always trip me out with one of my American mates is the difference between a sandwich and a burger. If it doesn't have
a burger is the patty.
Yeah, and if it doesn't have a meat patty, then it's a sandwich, and if it does, then it's a burger. So even if you have what we would call a McChicken burger, it's a McChicken sandwich.
And I have to be honest, I learned something really heartbreaking about 2 years ago. They don't have KFC rolls here. I don't eat fast food, very, very rare. The one time I've been to KFC once since living here, this was back when I ate meat, and all I wanted was potato and gravy and the rolls, right, to dip in gravy.
Yeah.
They don't have rolls. They have biscuits. Biscuits are like a scone. So you have chicken and biscuits, no rolls. I was heartbroken.
I didn't even know how I feel about it.
Diabolical. It was.
Yeah. If you put scones in place of the rolls in KFC, there'd be a riot.
Yeah, right. But I mean, this is the other thing. I've found that each fast food, you think that fast food is dependable in every country. It's not.
No.
Malaysian KFC, very different again. Vietnamese KFC, weird.
Wow.
Super weird. It's
all different, eh?
Everything's different. I'm living upside down and inside out sometimes.
So, what's kind of because I know lockdowns changed everything, but what do you see yourself living in America for ages, or do you see yourself coming home, or you just kind of live in the moment?
I'm trying to live in the moment at the moment. I could be a rapper. No, I don't know. I was when this first came out, like my heart is here in a lot of ways. I'm lucky that I've got whānau all over the world. You know, my father's family is in Fiji. I'm from New Zealand. You know, really lucky to be from Raglan, and have my mum's back there, and my best friend's back there. But there's a certain my gut is telling me I need to live here, which is why I'm still here. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how feasible it's going to be for me to stay here, depending on how long this virus, lingers on for. I will tell you that I just got my new passport from New Zealand in the mail a week ago with my updated photo. Finally,
let's go.
If shit does come to shove, then I can come home and I'll happily come home because A, it's home. B, my mum's there. C, I miss Fijoas. And D, Jacinda's a boss. So, but and I'm gonna I there are a lot of things that I miss about New Zealand. I really miss that the casual racism that we have in New Zealand doesn't even compare to the casual racism here, and just the family vibe of things. But again, DC's also got a lot of that for me here as well. So to be continued, I don't know.
And that's a good answer too.
Yeah. With just randomly, I don't know if
you would hit me. Come on.
I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but how did your mother end up coming from Pennsylvania to little old Raglan? That's a random. That's a random. I love that place, spot. By the way. That's a beautiful spot. That's quite a fair way of a difference between Pennsylvania to little old Raglan.
Okay, so I hope that my mum's going to be okay with me explaining the story. What happened? It gets even more complicated. My grandfather was from Iran or Iran, depending on.
You got blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Nice.
I can't be racist. I would be hating.
I reckon
it would not work for anybody involved.
That's why we all need mixed babies. It's important.
Right. So my grandfather moved to the States from Iran and met my grandmother in Iowa. They married, had 3 children. Apparently, he wasn't the nicest of humans, so they eventually divorced. And my grandmother met her Kiwi husband. I think the story was that they were skiing in Vermont. I don't know. I may have just made up that fact, but they met somewhere and fell in love. And she moved to New Zealand to be with him and get married and blah, blah, blah. And my mother and uncle and auntie were back here in Pennsylvania. And I think just before the last year of high school, Mum moved to Cambridge or Hamilton, I think, to finish her high school career. Went to Fairfield College, where I went, and then they moved to Cambridge and met. My mother met my father at university, but they, not long after meeting, they had me, and Mum decided to move to Raglan to kind of raise me in a safe community that was very musical and artistic.
And not Fairfield.
And not Fairfield. Be nice.
I'm sorry. Hey, I lived there for a bit. It's all right.
I tell you, I had a really great school principal who, back when I was being my rebellious teenage self, she actually turned up on this random doorstep that I was hanging out at. I'd been kicked out of home, and my principal turned up at this random house in the middle of I think it was Mount Wellington Street in Hamilton East, and was like, "Emma, we love you. When are you coming back to school?"
Wow.
Fairfield College had it was a good school for me. Very compassionate, very, very supportive. Anyways, so my mum raised me in Raglan from I think I was 3 when we moved there. But because I've got health conditions, a health condition called hydrocephalus, which has made me, given me 24 surgeries and 10 brain surgeries.
Wow.
That's why I had to move back to Hamilton because there's no hospital in Raglan.
Yeah.
So I moved to Hamilton and then moved to Auckland when I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. I'm a weird.
No, it's cool. I like it.
Story.
Glad we got you on. Every guest has been interesting.
You see, everyone's got this story because we put out the message for people to come on, just to come onto the podcast and whatnot. And some people have just been like, no, I'm not that interesting. It's like everyone's got a story, man. Everyone's got a story.
Isn't that fascinating though? Like I was listening to an activation last night of the number of people who like everybody. I think the takeaway for me was everyone's a genius. It's just that so many people get told that what they need to be a genius isn't what they excel in.
Exactly.
Right? So
it's like telling an elephant to climb a tree when that's a monkey's thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the elephant is still good.
Totally.
Elephant's still an elephant.
Just the wrong thing.
Yeah. For that job.
Yeah. For that job. And I think in New Zealand we're guilty of that because we're such a small nation. If you don't fit a certain box, it's going to be hard for you to succeed. People still accept you, but there's not much options for you. And I think that's probably where America might be good, especially for musos.
Well, that's it, because I found when I was in New Zealand, a lot of people would tell me that I needed to either, like, the Static Era was either too poppy for a rock band or too rocky for a pop band. And because I'm brown, it was just too hard to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. Brown people can do rock music too.
But anyone can do it. Apparently not.
Yeah. What if I told you that like pop and rock are kind of very similar?
I say to people, pop isn't even a genre. It's just what's popular at the time.
For real. So I don't know. It's been an interesting thing here because here I get typecast as being, R&B and soul, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me get real aggressive real quick.
Let me just show you I'm not.
I mean, I love soul music and I girl got soul, but
of course.
But I'm just, I'm not going to stand up there and sing about God and Aretha Franklin style. And when my upbringing was listening to everything from Iron Maiden to the Spice Girls to Catch a Fire,
Yeah.
So whatever. It's all good. The difference is, of course, that there's so many people here. So like even my micro niche is still
there's a niche for that.
It's and
that's large.
Exactly. And because what I sing a lot about is empowerment and self-love and politics and feminism and equality. That's a very large demographic here because this country is so fucking divided. So.
Yeah, it seems divided. I think that's the one thing going for New Zealand is, despite our casual racism, you're right. It's still we're still unified in a lot of things.
Yeah, for real.
It only takes one rugby game to just end racism in New Zealand. It really does.
Totally. And it's funny because like every time I talk about New Zealand, they're like, "Oh, cool. So like, do you play rugby?" And I'm like, "No." But I've sung at the Rugby World Cup, and they're like, "Okay, cool. Can you teach me the haka?"
Is that a thing you can teach?
Lord. I mean, let me give you a quick history lesson first before we even get into the nitty gritty.
Hey, I'm just glad they know who we are now because 10, 20 years ago, to be like, where's New Zealand? What is that? So that's cool.
20 years ago, try 5 years ago. There's still like, I get hit on all the time. And I joked about this on my Facebook the other day. I was like, I will not give any man the time of day if he cannot tell me where New Zealand is. Because I am so sick of arguing with men about like, no, it's not part of South Africa. No, it's not part of Switzerland. No, it's not part of Australia. No.
It's not in the Netherlands.
It's not in the Netherlands. It's not in Iceland. It's not in Greenland.
It's its own damn country.
You heard it here first, folks. To get
slide
into those DMs, you gotta know your
geography. Figure out where New Zealand is, and you might have a shot, folks. Maybe. And that leaves 90% of Americans out.
Yeah. Well, it will at least save you an argument.
Oh my God.
You at least won't get blocked.
And it's funny because even the whole starting the DMs thing, I feel so bad for people on Tinder at the moment. I just want to put it out there. But my cousin is an ER doctor in Iowa at the moment. Well, at the moment, she's always been an ER doctor in Iowa. But at the moment, she told me yesterday, even during this whole social distancing issue, the biggest influx of patient care at their hospital is due to STDs. This is the country I'm living in, guys.
We got needs.
In New Zealand, there's been memes of people just trying to hold out because they're like 3 more weeks to go, 3 more weeks to go. Then we can finally, 2 more weeks to go. At least we got some self-control here.
Preach.
Wow. It's honestly the cultural differences.
Oh, you've no idea. I thought moving here that I had been indoctrinated enough by television
and movies and music.
Yeah, and everything, that I would have been a little more prepared for the cultural differences. I came here completely 17 again. I had no fucking idea. My first job here was teaching at a girls' camp, and they'd have these hype sessions and love up sessions, and everybody was all peppy and I'm super peppy. Do not get me wrong, but y'all cannot force that shit on me. Let me feel shit.
Oh my gosh.
And then the food here and the forced sisterhood and the forced brotherhood and the forced roles that people place on each other. It was bizarre when I first moved here. And then moving to my first time in Mardi Gras was in New Orleans, and I was walking around and seeing these neighborhoods. It was oh my God, I feel, and this is going to sound horrible, I'm sorry, I was I feel like I'm walking through a Tupac video, because the way that people interact with each other was so different to what I was used to. You would see people legitimately having dance-offs in their front patio, and it was beautiful, and people would be eating and yelling out to each other, hey sis, hey bro, whatever. But again, that wasn't what I was used to. And then you get these older men who would, oh, hey baby, how's it going? And I, for the longest time, thought that they were hitting on me. I was like, motherfucker, what are you doing? I'm not your baby. What? But no, it's just a term of endearment. It's like saying, hey dude, what's happening, And so for the longest time, I kind of had to realize okay, sometimes people are just being kind. However, one thing I will tell you is the amount of men who've been you don't have a wedding ring. That means you're up for the taking. I don't care if you're in a relationship.
Wow.
If you're not married, you are still public property.
Wow.
That's, I don't, So do you have to wear a wedding ring or pretend to?
I'm just don't. No, I have a really good right hook.
You want to see this ring, this ringless finger?
For real.
You don't live in Hamilton and not learn how to throw a right hook.
Right. So that was my big thing, and then of course seeing police here with guns in their holsters, and my first time couch surfing in New Jersey, and my host was like, oh, do you want to see our gun collection? I'm like, sure.
That's right, I'm in America. Guns.
Tell me how much mace you have again. Is that a taser? What?
Yeah.
I can blow up the whole block with this. Yeah. Is it really as bad as they say, the guns? And
look, I live in DC. DC's got very different roads. My ex's brother lives in Nebraska. I believe they open carry there, which means you can show your gun.
Oh wow!
whenever you go outside, you just like
flex.
Yeah, right. And not the way that I flex. That was me making a joke. Okay, so
nice.
It depends on where you are, and it depends on who your family is, and what social circles you hang out in. Obviously, I mean, again, because I'm culturally ambiguous. The Ethiopians think I'm one of them. The Spanish think I'm one of them. South Americans think I'm one of them. The Black Americans think I'm one of them. I'm really lucky in that I kind of blend. And then I open my mouth, and all the white people are like, "Oh, it's cool. She's fine."
She's one of us.
Right. So, it's weird. So when I'm whatever circles I'm in, it doesn't. Like, it's never really affected me. I've never, come face to face with a pistol or anything like that. Yeah. It's just been like, I'm at a sandwich shop and a policeman walks by and, oh, there's a gun in their holster. That's not scary as fuck. But again, the police here have been super kind to me. I've had 7 interactions with the police thus far. One of them told me that my singing was really good. Could I just move 2 steps to the right? Another told me that my accent was really cool and they just pay me to talk to them. True story.
Wow.
One of them, in fact, the other day, I was at the Walmart and we were just chatting about headphones, actually these headphones. And he's like, "Oh, I'm a musician, cool." And then he's like, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" Because Instagram's a huge thing in the States. And so he looked me up on Instagram, and I was wearing a mask, so he couldn't see my face. He looked at me, he's like, "Oh, you're really pretty." I was like, okay.
That's very straightforward, isn't it?
But again, like, Americans are super, like, there's no beating around the bush here. Like, people are very upfront, like, one of my favorite lines back when I was in New Zealand was like, you flirt with a dude and just be like, "Okay, cool, we're dancing, great." At the end of the night, a guy will be like, "Grab your coat, love, you've pulled," type thing. Here, people date, like actually date, and go out to the movies and to dinner and things. I have legitimately been in a relationship with a person before, for like a month before I realized we were in a relationship.
Wow.
Because like the culture here is just so different. I had no idea. I'm like, "Oh, cool. We're hanging out. Cool. Okay. Staying the night at your house. That's fun. Okay, whatever. I'm going to do my thing now and peace in the Middle East." Nah. We were exclusive.
You were a thing. You were a thing.
Okay. Cool.
In New Zealand, that's a good point, because in New Zealand, you can be talking to someone for a whole year and not being you know what I'm talking about. Right. We all know what we're talking about here. Right.
So that's even something that I'm like, every day I was like, okay, hold up. So if I'm hanging, what? Okay, we need to have the talk. Like, my culture is very different.
We have to give a verbal confirmation on both sides. It can be 2-3 years. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Till we verbally confirm.
I need to know answers. Like, I don't care if I don't like the answer. I just need to know so that I can like call the other people and be like, "Sorry, I like apples."
so people just date and then you're a thing. It's just
I guess so.
Just happens.
So. My mum warned me about this when I first moved here. Actually, she was like, "By the way, just so you know, American men are very much more about long term." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. I've been in long-term relationships. That's cool. Like I've had 3 major relationships in my life, 2.5 years, 1.5 years, whatever. Like, whatever. But it's people just kind of you go on a couple of dates, and then if you're like talking to each other regularly, I think I'm guessing here. I don't know.
Yeah. It's your experiences anyway.
Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like next minute you're like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend Emma G," and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
When did we have this discussion? Like, wow, it's interesting.
It's so weird. That's all right. It's okay.
I don't think it's good or bad. I think it's just different.
Well, and I think it's one of those things where like you just have to super communicate.
Yeah.
which is not my strong point as a songwriter. I don't talk. I write songs.
Yeah.
So like if we're in a relationship, cool. Let me write a song about it, and then I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you know in 5 to 7, 3 to 5 business days, and then.
But you won't find out until like I'm singing it and releasing it. Like this is my decision. Okay, cool. That's where I'm at right now because.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm forever 17, guys. Forever 17.
Forever 17. Well, yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time anymore, but so we'll call it a thing. But thanks for coming on the podcast, and
this has been enlightening.
We'll have to get you back on. We'll definitely have to get you back on because I could just listen to these stories all night, all day. Where are we?
I haven't even gotten into the stories.
What, really? We got time for one more.
Okay, so I found DC. Okay, so I will leave you this story. I got this job in Massachusetts working at this girls' camp, and then I became friends with the nurse, and she referred me onto a job in Connecticut working as an outdoor science education teacher. But we had 10 days between the two jobs. So she's the reason why I went to Indiana, because she had a home in Indiana. And so we found our way, like, we're just like, okay, cool, we'll get in the car, we'll drive from Massachusetts to Indiana and then back down to Connecticut. And then that'll be like in time for this new job. However, we broke down in New York State, not the city, but the outskirts of the state, in the middle of fucking nowhere. The only thing I can tell you is that there were green fields and a portaloo. Right? That's all I know.
Wow.
So we pulled over. We I think we had to get a flat. No, I don't know. It's one of the spark plugs blew out or something. It was a long time ago. But so we pulled over and we called a tow truck, and the tow truck guy came and picked us up and took us to a nearby motel, which was beside a garage or mechanics, and that was cool. We went, got the car fixed, took 2 days. But while we were he dropped us off at the motel. He's like, do you guys need anything else? I'm like, no, we cool. Bye. And then we got a phone call, I think 3 hours later, saying, just want to make sure that you guys don't need a pillow for the evening. I'm here to help, and if you just want some fun or whatever, I can come back. And that was my introduction into dating in America.
Wow. Do you need
do you need anything? Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his name was. I don't know what he looked like. All I remember was thinking, motherfucker.
I have to ask, did you even think about it? Did it kind of work?
Hell no.
That's good.
No. No.
Was he not able to tell you where New Zealand was?
Nice. I see what you did there. No, he.
I have to clarify that so men in New Zealand don't try that. They would have been like, but did it work?
No, he did. I didn't even. It didn't even cross my mind. Yeah, so gross, gross. He was what could only be described as like a bogan on steroids type thing, and that's not really my flavor.
A bogan on roids.
Yeah, not roids. I'm talking about maybe a bogan on meth. Right.
Yeah. Bogan on
super not cool. Not cool.
Missing teeth.
But yeah, but even we've got a lot of health stores and gyms here and stuff. The amount of times that I would go out and get, I don't know, protein powder or whatever, and the dudes would be like, "Oh, you're really hot. Let's arm wrestle." Or
because that's a great pickup line.
Right. How strong
are they trying to flex? Yeah, look at that.
Let me show you how strong I
am. This is my strong hand.
You'll be persuaded to date me.
It just.
And you'll be my girlfriend after 3 dates.
Yeah.
or a month, depending on which one you pick up on first.
I can't. I don't even. It's blowing my mind, to be honest. Some of this.
It's wild. Shit's wild.
I have to come to the States. I always said I'm going to go to the States one day, but now I really have to go because see it for myself.
When all this is over, man, you know where I am. I'm in Chocolate City.
In Chocolate City.
In Chocolate City.
We have a very strong Kiwiana presence here in DC.
Oh, that's good. So, what do they have? Must feel like a sense of community.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. We did, we've got Kia ora DC Kiwis and Kia ora USA Kiwis. I actually sang the national anthem in English and Te Reo Māori as for our celebration of Anzac Day the other day, which was really cool. But yeah, so like it's cool. My housemate is both Kiwi and American as well. So she, whenever she's home, we make pavlova and we eat meat pies and whatever. But like there's a guy in Virginia. His name's Ram. He has all the pies. He owns his own pie shop. So I go there and get veggie pies and whatever. There's a brewery up the road with a fire type beer. Literally, it's called Fire.
Nice.
And all of it, so all of his beer is named after either Māori words or, something to do with New Zealand. So like, it's cool. It's cool.
And it's enough to keep you grounded in your Kiwi side.
I hope so. One of these days. Yeah.
So before we sign out, is there anything you'd like to say or
sign out
to anybody who's listening right now? I hope you are staying sane, safe, and healthy. I hope you're spreading as much kindness as possible. Personal plug, I guess. I'm releasing a single every 6 weeks at the moment. I released a song on the 2nd of April called Be Brave. Timing is ridiculous because it literally is like my anthem, my personal anthem during coronavirus. But so then I think whatever 6 weeks after the 2nd of April, I've got another song coming out. And it's I'm booked up until the end of the year with just new music. So if you want to keep in touch, Emma G Music on all social media or emmagmusic.com.
Yo.
We'll make sure to leave links in the description and all that. But
okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just be my friend because I'm in quarantine and I have nobody except for my
I have to add you and all that.
Yay, friends! I love it.
It's like I think we both know we're New Zealanders too. So.
Oh, thank God.
Sometimes I question though, is it where I am? Now, thanks for coming on though. We'll have to get you back on. Or
for real.
I heard you doing a podcast as well, so I might have to.
Yeah, well, actually, it was funny because I was chatting with Taryn Mohanbai last night, who's a comedian from Auckland. He's thatindianguy.com. And so that's why, like, a lot of our conversation last night was talking all about the casual racism in New Zealand and how it compares to New Zealand, to American racism. So I've got interviews with random people, philosophers, authors, life coaches.
And that's the best, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Like, there's some really big name people. You guys are probably familiar with Richie Hardcore from New Zealand. Yeah, so he's a friend of mine, and he's coming on at the same time as America's version. Tony, what's his last name? I can see his face. I can't think of his last name right now, but he does basically the equivalent on a bigger scale because we live in America. So he's worked with Terry Crews. He's worked with a whole bunch of like really big name celebrities.
Tony Robbins.
No, not Tony Robbins. What's his? No. Tony Robbins. That he's. I work with a lot of other.
I was going to say that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I know. I was like,
No, there's a lot of other life coaches that I do work with that are not Tony Robbins quite. Tony Porter.
There we go.
He's awesome. He's a really, really down to earth guy, and he just talks about health and masculinity and how we can empower men to feel things and not fighting and things like that. So that's the kind of shit that I'm doing at the moment, as well as shows and crying myself to sleep. No, I'm kidding. So, we're gonna get through this, guys.
It's like, yeah, no, I'm not laughing at that. No. Someone hold me. Oh, you can't. You have to socially distance.
Social distancing.
2 meters, people. 6 feet in America. Don't
Actually,
touch me.
6
What
feet
is it?
6 feet is about 1.5 meters. I'd say
so
like
6.5?
7 feet would be right.
Be about right.
Yeah, like 6'8", 6'9".
6'9". How tall is Kevin Durant? He's 6'11". About that long.
Yeah, he's like
one
6'10".
Kevin Durant.
Well, one Kevin Durant away.
I'm going to say that from now on. Like, hey, Kevin
one
Durant.
KD. he's from DC too, isn't he? Like actually from DC. I don't know.
I have no idea. There's some amazing people. Like obviously, Dave Chappelle's from DC. Maya's from DC.
The singer Maya.
Yep. Wale's
Nice.
from DC. There's a lot of people from DC. Yeah, it may be a politically crazy city, but there's a very, very strong music.
Deep culture there.
Yeah.
All right.
Go away.
All right, we're going to sign out.
All right.
You know who I am. It's the Infection 19 podcast. Emma G.
This is Emma G, Trojan, TJ. And just on the little side note on the sign off, if you were that person that wanted to pay her to talk, we just gave you a free hour, bruh. So I hope you top up that PayPal account for her.
Go watch her live stream. Go put it in the PayPal. You know what it is.
Any love is appreciated.
Peace.
At the very least, just go be kind to people.
That's the main thing.
That's the main one.
Peace
All right.
out, eh? Let's go.